Hi, this is Victoria Weinstein. I'm on social media as PeaceBang, and thanks for watching. It's February 16th, 2018, and I'm interested in checking in with you about Lent, which is a period of 40 days, starting in what is called Ash Wednesday, and ending at Easter. But you don't count the Sundays because I'll explain why in a second. So the 40 days represent Jesus's 40 days in the wilderness, fasting and praying before going into his public ministry. So anyway, so it's 40 days, but you don't count Sundays because Sundays are like little Easters, I guess, before the big Easter. So anyway, the focus of Lent is supposed to be cultivating real humility. And I guess in traditional language, we'd say repentance and penitence and focusing on your sinfulness. And of course, this makes Lent like not very popular with a lot of modern people who are like, well, that's really bad for people's self-esteem and you don't want to do that. That's just so damaging. And well, okay, yeah, if you look at it like that, or you could say, maybe there's something all of us could give up that would contribute to our health and wholeness, not as a punishment, and not as like a you're sinful, oh you're bad, you're not like that, because we're not in the medieval times, and we don't. That's not terribly productive for our psyches, but just to say, like there are in many other religious traditions, this is a season that gives me an opportunity to commit to a spiritual practice. And because the intention of this season is like kind of a purification, getting right in the soul, getting in touch with the soul, which that in itself is a deep practice. Because that's the emphasis is really on the pain of the world and the brokenness of the human condition, there might be something worth connecting with this year, or if you've never tried it before. Some people give up chocolate. Some people say I'm giving up all sugars, or I'm going to not purchase anything that has packaging. I've just seen some really interesting Lenten commitments. I'd like to know what yours are. I'd like to talk about ours, because one of the greatest things about spiritual community, and you don't need to be officially Christian or anything. I don't think I don't think God cares. I don't think God cares. The great beautiful creative energy that makes us to live, and in which we live and move and have our being, as Paul wrote. I don't think that great cosmic force gives a crap if you are subscribing to doctrinal beliefs in order to engage in a spiritual practice, because that's between you and the great holy force. I am this year thinking a lot about our shared addiction to information and vigilance, I guess I would call it. I feel personally that I am addicted to, clicking links to get information about what's going on. Well, is there anything inherently wrong with that? Of course not. I'm just trying to stay informed. I need to stay informed. I mean, as a parish minister and person who engages in social justice work, I need to know what's happening. I need to know about what's happening in Congress and what's happening in my own local or my own state legislature, for instance. I need to know what's happening nationally because people are talking about it. So, that's part of my responsibility. But I'm very well aware that at this point I am clicking away and reading and staying engaged partly in this unconscious magical thinking that by reading more, knowing more, staying appropriately outraged and angry and responsive, although it's not really responsive, it's really reactionary, at all times, I am somehow keeping the airplane aloft. The sort of airplane of the human project aloft. It really, do you know what I mean? Like, have you ever been on an airplane and it starts to boom with the turbulence and you're white knuckling it on the chairs, but you're like, yeah, I do this. I just was in the air yesterday, so I know I do this. You really brace your feet on the floor of the plane and you're like tightening up your body, because somehow if you are super tight and like on it, that plane's going to stay in the air. I think a lot of us are engaging with information and social media, particularly in that way. Does that sound like something that's happening for you too? We're not in control. We do have influence. Some of us have more influence than others. We all have some influence. To use it wisely and well requires that we be grounded. And we cannot stay in that place of health and connected to wisdom, if we're freaking out and reacting and clicking the link and the link and the link, and then going down the rabbit hole of 16 more bits of information and outrage and areas about which we should be concerned and, in fact, fearful and maybe even terrified. Okay, so there's a lot going on. There's a huge, there's a lot of plates are spinning and they're wobbly, and a lot of them are going to fall and break. And we're seeing some of them falling and smashing. Our institutions our systems are a mess. We know that the very structures in which we work and govern and live in community and are educated and so on need a lot of restructuring and a lot of adjustment, which will take steady, very, good, focused, faithful attention. So I just wanted to tell you what my Lenten practice is, and that is just for this period to say, how am I staying informed? How am I engaging? And is it activating just opinion and sound? What is that expression? Sound and fury signifying nothing. How much of my life force, my limited life force, am I giving to that? How much is being evoked from me or, by the advertising industry, getting me upset about something, how much of, and by which I mean even the way headlines are generated, which provokes me to click on the link, and then, an advertiser gets paid because I clicked the link, right? So I'm existing in that system too. And I just want to look at how much of that is productive, how much of that is ego-based, like if Victoria Weinstein doesn't read this and have an opinion, well, that will be a loss. No, it won't. And again, how much of a theft from my real life relationships, my health and well-being, my relationship with my God, all of those things, how high a cost is it? And can I, for the next 40 days, pull myself back from what feels like an addicted kind of level of engagement or an addicted kind of spirit of engagement to just being able to be present to reality and the pain of it. And just be able to say at times, there is a lot of reality that's painful that I cannot do a damn thing about. I can pray. I can pray my spirit over to that person or place because it can't hurt. I just know that it can't hurt. My sister, for Christmas, she took this picture in Barcelona, at a museum in Barcelona. Sorry, it's a little bit of a glare. And I call it the Agony Angel. And it says, she knows me so well. It says on the back simply, Oy vey. Oy vey. So, Agony Angel here, who's also deeply compassionate and beautiful, is kind of my avatar for this Lent of 2018. And so if you feel like you want to have an avatar yourself and explain what that means, tell us about it in the comments. I think that encouraging each other in spiritual commitments and spiritual practice is a really cool thing about the kind of communities we create online or locally where we are, or where, however we do. So it's really good to chat with you. Take care, and this is a kiss of peace from PeaceBang.